Hi guys, as you want to become a startup entrepreneur and you want to become a founder who will create a lot of value. So first part of it is that you need to have a good learning about the ecosystem where you are going to work. Like an employee knows that where he is going to work when he gets the induction. Okay, so there is a program called employee induction. Whenever anyone joins, if any one of you has joined any organization, so you have an induction. So you need to know the basic rules, basic laws of the land, and accordingly you can become a great startup entrepreneur. So this video is more about learning on the ecosystem aspect. When I'm saying ecosystem, so it means that what all stakeholders will be there. Like you being an entrepreneur, you will get funding through investors, you will get mentorship through mentors, you will get incubation support through private or government incubators. You may encounter certain accelerators for your training, mentorship, growth, funding. Okay, so all these stakeholders, and the most important stakeholder which I will mention here is the government, because once you form a company, you have to do it through a platform of government. After formation, you have to do various compliances, you have to report your data on regular basis, you have to compute your taxes, pay your advanced taxes. Lot of compliance stuff is there. Okay, and this also we are going to cover in our upcoming section, the compliance part. So without wasting any time, I'll just move further on the main aspect of what is the startup ecosystem. So startup ecosystem includes the global as well as the Indian perspective I'll be giving you here. So there are common challenges whether you are forming a startup which will serve for the India ecosystem or for the global economy. The common challenges that are there is that you have to see the economy, that India is a fast growing startup ecosystem, and there is always a chance that someone might copy your idea, someone is like scaling faster than you, working on the same idea. As well as in the global startup arena, there are various different models, complexities that you need to know that how things are working. If you are competing with someone who has a very huge capital, who has raised funding, and you are bootstrap startup, how you will survive or how you will thrive? So continuous pivoting, continuous understanding of all these aspects is must. Okay, so for that you should know that which are the startups which are funded by Y Combinator in their previous batch. Okay, which startups are currently they are getting support from YC. Okay, I'm just giving you a reference. You can definitely see for others also. Some of our clients have also got funded through the Y Combinator. It's a kind of accelerator which operates from the US, and many Indian startup and global startup apply for that program. They get funding to 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million from the YC, okay, which is Y Combinator. It's a combinator. And like YC incubation, there are other programs that are running in India also. The Startup India Seed Funding Scheme is one of that, which is being run by the Government of India. And approximately, I would say that some 9,000 crores of funds are allocated specifically for startups. And many schemes, many hackathons, and a lot of the competitions are running. So you should definitely explore for that as well. Okay, now these are some key stakeholders like the entrepreneurs, you, the investors who will be investing in your idea, whether for the prototyping, whether for the launching of the startup, marketing, or whatever stuff it is. And investors can be early stage seed funding investor, it can be angel investor. Again, early stages angel investors do their funding as well, and it can be a VC as well. Okay, so depending upon your series, like whether you are initially borrowing the sorry whether you are initially raising the capital, whether you have already raised and now you are scaling, and for that you are raising. So depending upon that, you will be raising the rounds and you will look for the investor. And different investors have different categories. Like in the initial stage, seed funding is there, as I just mentioned. Then angel investing is there, and after that the VC rounds are there, series A, B, C, D, E. These are the rounds. You must have heard about it. I will also discuss about these in details. There are mentors who are the experienced professionals. Like I am one of the mentor with Startup India, and mentors basically help guide, support you in their domain. Like as a startup mentor for the founders who want to develop their SaaS platforms. So SaaS platforms like software as a service platforms. So I'm helping and supporting them out. Now, since mentors are someone who have the industry insights, who have the understanding about how the platforms are developed, so they may not be giving you funding, but the guidance, the support, the mentorship that you will get from them, it is invaluable, and it is definitely going to help you in grow. in growth of your startup, their role is really important, equivalent to the investors, because investors can give you money, but mentors give you the real understanding about how you have to go about development or growth of your business. Now comes the accelerators, incubators. So accelerator incubators are those people who help you in learning through the training programs, through various resources that they provide you. Even they provide the space to sit at their acceleration centers or incubation centers, and they might charge some equity from you. But again, they also play a really important role. So all these stakeholders that are mentioned here, and the ones who are not mentioned here, like government, okay, the main stakeholder is government, the customer, okay, all these are your startup ecosystem counterparts, who are your competitors. They are also part of the ecosystem, as well as your vendors. Okay, so your vendor, your customer, the government, these four important stakeholders mentioned here. So all these are your ecosystem stakeholder. Now I'll move on to the next slide. So the current trends and opportunity of the landscape of the startup ecosystem is something that you should also take a note of. And why you should take a note of? Because if you don't know that how things are working in your ecosystem, okay, which technologies are the emerging technologies, okay, how you can build sustainable solutions, how the globalization is impacting the ecosystem, okay, consumer behavior changes, then it will be really difficult. If you are not well versed with these things, it will be really difficult. Now what are these? So emerging technologies are like whatever AI, machine learning, deep learning, working. Suppose you are working for an education, a tech startup, or a healthcare startup. So you should know that in your segment, in your domain, okay, how the emerging technology are changing the landscape. Okay. Similarly, if suppose you are working in supply chain, so you should know that how blockchain may be a game changer for you. Some startups, like, they are working for Internet of Things, like you are sitting at your office, and from there only you can control all the devices that are electric devices, like geyser or a fan at your home. Okay, suppose you forgot to switch off your AC or your geyser, you can switch off rightly sitting at your office. Okay, so these are some of the capabilities that are already there in the market. Startups have already worked on it, and people are evolving like anything. So emerging technology is something you should be aware of. Then comes the sustainable solutions. So startups are like seen as something which is adding value to the Gen Z. Okay, and Gen Z is something which has a great proportion in the country. Specifically, if I talk about India, our generation Z is very worried about the environment. They are also really eco-friendly kind of people. So if you are someone who is developing, or who has a plan to develop a solution which has a reduced carbon footprint, you are working on something which is improving in reducing the carbon footprint. Okay, you are working to through the ESG scoring, or you're working to do the impact on the society. Okay, all these aspects are covered under the sustainable solutions. I'll not say that it's a not for profit business, it's a profit, it's for profit business. Okay, there are sustainable solutions as an NGO that they work, but I'm talking here about the profitable things. I'm talking here about the startup, so I'll limit myself to that. So if you are developing a biogas kind of a mechanism, waste management solutions, okay, you are doing recycling, whatever you are doing in this space through use of technology. So all these four things that are mentioned on the screen, these will work mutually inclusive. Okay, these are not mutually exclusive terms, they are integrated to each other. Okay, so if in your case you are doing a particular startup, you should be aware about the emerging technologies. You should develop sustainable solutions which are eco-friendly, which are contributing to the environment in positive way. You as a startup should have a capability or capacity to expand not only to India, but to other countries like Africa, or maybe other countries which may have a similar kind of problem. So that comes under the globalization. Similarly, you should know about the changing consumer behavior. I have just mentioned about the Gen Z. So likewise, now the Gen Alpha will also come. So you need to keep in mind that what problem you are solving. According to that, the consumer behavior, you have to study and you have to match things, so that the solution you are providing is adding value. Now comes the funding landscape. I mentioned it already, but I'll just reiterate. The angel investors provide the early stage funding. Okay, the friend, family, and fool, that is something is called as the seed funding round. Okay, it comes even before the angel investors. And then comes the VCs invest in startup with high growth potential, and they basically invest in any startup to get 10x to 100x returns. And as far as the corporate investors are concerned, so these are the large companies, and they are increasingly now investing in the startups like Infosys or TCS, Capgemini. What they are doing is they see that a startup is doing good, and these organizations are cash rich organizations. So what they do, they acquire generally these kind of startups. Okay, so if you are building something, there are chances that these people acquire your startup as well. Okay, so that is also one of the opportunity. Okay, now comes the most important stakeholder of the ecosystem, which is government. The government's role and the policy in supporting startup, specifically after Startup India 2016, our Prime Minister has introduced Startup India scheme, and there are many favorable policies. Around 1,25,000 startups are already registered, and initially, if a startup is registered on this platform, you get free education from here. You get a lot of other stuff like 10 lakh rupees credit you get for various tools like Zoho. Many tools are there, okay, like Zoho for your accounting, Freshworks, My Operator, Caller Desk for your IVR facility if you want to set up a telecalling setup within your sales team. Okay, Amazon AWS credit of around $3,000 to $5,000 you get. Okay, so this is something which we have also done for many startups in last 4 or 5 years, and I will highly recommend that if you have formed a company or planning to form a company, you should look out for this as well. Okay, so now comes the challenges that startup faces. So initial challenges, as I already mentioned, that there is a challenge in access to capital, the talent acquisition, because generally people want a stable career path. Okay, so they don't get attracted to a startup because in startup you have to work more as an employee and you are paid comparatively lesser than the other big organizations. It's not the case every time. It happens in the initial phase. If startup is a growing startup or it has already grown, then you may get even the equity part, ESOPs also you get. So as a founder, you need to see that for accessing the capital, okay, you have to make sure that you build something which is sustainable, growing, profitable business, okay, and scalable business. Similarly, for acquiring right talent, you have to offer them ESOPs, you have to give them good pay perks as per your capacity and capability, as well as the learning and challenges should be good, because people generally work with you if they are getting bigger challenges because they see growth potential. Okay, as an individual, if I am working with a startup and I am growing, so I will work with you. So eventually what I'll do, I will avail the ESOPs facility and I will definitely take out the benefits in the future. Okay, then market penetration is something which a founder has to think of. Like, you have to navigate through all the complexities. You need to see that your product or your service enters into a market. Initially you may need to give free trials also. You may need to enter into a segment where already there are players. Okay, so you need to decide or work on your blue ocean strategy. What is blue ocean strategy? It means that you are doing something in a unique way which no one has done. So always work on that to get a good market penetration. Now comes the importance of networking and community building. So here, most people misunderstood this. What they do is, once they start a business, they start getting into the networking events, conferences, communities. They run after this, that. I will recommend that this is also important, but to a limited extent. Why? Because initially, when you are building your startup, the first focus should be on sales. Okay, definitely, if through this networking you are getting increase in your sales, okay, you are getting good community partners, okay, who are referring you to their customers, okay, you are getting such kind of people in this network, definitely you should go for it. But do not be totally dependent on this, and don't focus more on your marketing or advertising in the initial phase. Why so? Because once you validate your product, once you see that customer is liking it, then based on those testimonials, based on those feedbacks, you can definitely go to this network, tell them that this is what I have done for the customers, this is what I have, and you also have similar kind of a customer bracket. So why don't you refer me to your network, and I will be giving a referral or affiliate commission to you. This model can work. Maybe if someone is offering something, okay, suppose someone is providing legal services and you are into website development, so collaborate with them. Okay, tell them that for the startups with whom they are working, they can offer it as an integrating offering, like online presence plus compliance is something that they can support. You will be working on a model like you are creating a edtech platform. So for you, This is very important, but for everyone I will not say that this is important. It is important only for those who want to build a community and using that community want to scale their business or bring revenue. Okay, use it as a revenue generating tool, but not to waste your time. Okay, don't waste your time only attending the events. Okay, I'm emphasizing on this because I have seen that many founders waste a lot of time attending unnecessary events which do not add any value either to their business or their network. Okay, so please keep a note of this. Now comes the strategies. Like, for success of your startup, your product market fit should be there. I have already discussed the market penetration point, but market penetration happen only when you have a good product market fit. If it is there, definitely you are going to grow. But if it is not there, then definitely you have to continuously pivot and you have to make it such offering that it fits the market demand. Okay, so never go with the approach that you develop something and then you go to the customer. Instead of that, always see a problem, get some feedback that if you develop something related to this problem, how it will work, then develop it, give it to the market, take their feedback, continuously evolve, and you are a good startup to go. Okay, now comes the growth hacking. The startups can leverage the innovation and cost effective marketing techniques. So I will call it a frugal way initially. Keep it frugal means that keep your cost less and income more through the marketing efforts that you do. Tie up with the influencers. Okay, tie up with, like, do the barters with the influencers, create content about your product, about your customer feedbacks. Through this you will definitely be getting a good brand image, and using this you can leverage and grow as a founder. Okay, so just leverage the power of content, just leverage power of collaboration with other influencers. If possible, start a podcast or maybe start working with the people who already have a good network. Okay, through that you can do definitely good growth hacking. Email marketing, WhatsApp marketing also are good tools, but use them only for that particular kind of product or services where people can, like, the ticket size is not that much. If ticket sizes are high, focus more on building community around your product. Focus more on telling about the features, telling about the benefits, and telling about the value adds that your product or service is going to do for the customer. Okay, start creating content from today itself if you have not started, because this is must. Even if your product is not ready, start sharing thoughts about that particular thing which you are going to develop in the upcoming days. I'm not saying that you start sharing your ideas. Okay, don't share your idea or don't share your pitch deck with anyone without an NDA. I am talking about something else. I am saying that if you are working, suppose, on creating a platform for lead generation, okay, which will be a SaaS platform. So start talking about this particular thing. Okay, create post around this. Okay, don't tell specific features. Start with the general things and eventually get specific about it. Okay, this is how it will help you. And as I already mentioned here, scaling smartly. So once you start developing a product market fit product, you are doing your growth hacking, you have mastered these two things, definitely the scaling will happen. And smart scaling is something that you should make sure that your costs are not increasing in comparison to your revenue increase. So it should be like a profitable scaling. Okay, your profits should be continuously increasing as you scale. Okay, so this smart scaling is more on the operation part, more on the cost control part, and more on the sustainable scalability, I would say. Okay, so future outlook and emerging technologies, like I have already discussed something about this in our previous slide, maybe a second or third slide, but I will just reiterate that emerging technologies, we have discussed this point. Now, AI, blockchain, sustainable solutions, healthcare innovations. So these are some examples. I will not say that these are the only things which are there. There are many other things, okay, apart from these, but you should keep an eye on this. You can see that how you can leverage AI, how you can leverage blockchain or sustainability, okay, for your business. And if suppose you are a health tech startup or a ed tech startup, accordingly you need to see what innovations are going on in your particular arena. Okay, accordingly you will be in a better position to create your offering. So this is all about this section, and I hope you have a good understanding about the ecosystem specifically in which you are going to work or already started working. And now we will move on to the next topic, where we will discuss about the details of how you will be growing as a startup. Hope you like this video. Please share it with your network. And this course is specifically designed for first time founders. So do share with your colleagues who are first time founders. Thank you so much.